on the radio.
Dude, he's not on the radio.
But like I'm saying, what if? Like,
but he wasn't on the radio.
Still,
it's different.
It's so bad.
Completely different. Nah, Joe Buck's a good announcer.
Yeah, leave it like it is.
Dude,
I like Joe Buck.
It's a show blower. Motion. Dude, Cowboys had a huge touchdown. He's like, Cowboys in touchdown. Like, good lord.
Where your master recording.
And Troy Aikman just was the biggest Cowboy hater on broadcasting I've ever seen. Anything good goes for the Cowboys. Like, I don't know. I promise I feel right.
Channel 2.
That'll be our.
Are you recording to this camera, the whole thing?
You can hit record on that. Yes, because we need that recording as a safety backup. But yeah, put your headsets on and let me hear your audio.
Yeah. We're not gonna have a monitor.
Again, fancy stuff comes last. We got to get on the air first. But yeah, I think we will have a monitor for you.
Testing. Testing.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
All right, cool.
I think you're. I think whatever nap mic you have going right now is like right over behind us.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Kyle?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Very good.
Yeah, you sound great.
You also sound very good.
Yeah.
It is chilly.
All right, so be careful what you say because we are online right now with video.
Testing.
Oh, are we?
Right,
Testing,
we got it
testing,
good.
testing,
All right,
testing.
That's good. That's good.
Should we not turn our mics down? Wouldn't that be a good thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay. So, all right. Tell me when. All right. So just keep your eye on me, Kyle, and I'll point to you when I'm ready to go,
Okay.
Kyle.
Valentine's Day is in the rear view mirror, which means 2019 lacrosse season is in full effect. Both teams matching up as we get set for some MCLA action on the campus of the University of Texas in Austin. This is Game On Sports coverage of MCLA lacrosse. The TCU Horned Frogs out of the Lone Star Alliance versus the Auburn Tigers out of the Southeastern Lacrosse Conference. Kyle Yeomans here alongside Saji Adam. And Saji, this is a matchup between the 1-1 TCU Horned Frogs, a team that lost their first 7 games of 2019, but this year already off to a better start. They challenged last year's LSA champion, the Texas A&M Aggies, in a close matchup at home. Then they went on the road and defeated Texas Tech last week. On the other side, you've got an Auburn team, a young squad overall, but has started the season 4-0.
Yeah, I can't think of a better post-Valentine's Day gift than Auburn versus TCU. This is obviously going to be a great matchup. TCU is coming more motivated than ever. They had that great win versus Texas Tech, bouncing off that loss against A&M. They won 9-2, a great defensive showing. Really, overall, MVP of the game was freshman keeper Aiden Daughtery. He really showed up as he was just a stud in that game. It's going to be interesting to see how these two teams match up today.
A beautiful setting for a Saturday afternoon showdown, a little bit on the chilly side in the 40s here as we get started. Official face-off getting started right now at 1 o'clock here from Caven Lacrosse Field. This is the Caven Clark Field on the campus of UT in Austin. And there's a really kind of a historic feel around this, but it's really for a different reason, Saji.
Yeah, this has been a field that's had over 45 years of history. I mean, it all started with the Caven family. They've been so involved with this program that they named this field after them. And this field has meant so much to UT that next year they're going to be fixing the turf, fixing the lining, fixing the netting. And it's already a beautiful field surrounded by beautiful environment. So it's amazing to see how much UT cares about this place.
That Texas lacrosse team took on this Auburn team last night, where Auburn was able to take the win in their 4th matchup of the season. Really their first matchup they were really tested in here in 2019. TCU, on the other hand, started off against Texas A&M. We know how that one went. But Auburn with a 13-12 win last night over Texas on the road, and got a little bit of momentum heading into this game. They're going to be led by J.J. Arminio in his 2nd season with Auburn lacrosse. On the other side, TCU with Mark Purcell. Of course, the historic TCU tenure for Coach Purcell. In goal for TCU starts off with Ryan Lawton. He started both the Texas A&M and Texas Tech games for the TCU Horned Frogs. On the other side in goal, it's got Micah Kane, a freshman, still trying to learn the ropes. Coach J.J. Arminio said to me earlier today, as we get set for the face-off, Violation's going to give it to TCU, and we are underway. MCLA Lacrosse, the Lone Star Alliance, and the Southeastern Lacrosse Conference facing off non-conference play, the first of such for TCU. Auburn has had their fair share of non-SELC games so far. TCU in the white going from right to left on your screen, attacking to that left side, and then Auburn's in the navy trimmed in the orange going from left to right. Or the other way around. I'm trying to get my direction straight here. Left to right TCU, Auburn right to left. Looking with TCU here, though, you talked to Coach Mike Purcell before the game. Talked about attacking off the wing, and that's exactly what they're going to do to get things underway. Kyle Cartwright sweeps that one from underneath, and TCU strikes first early here in the first quarter.
I did talk to Coach Purcell before this game, and he was talking about how Auburn is a very attack-centric team. They're very aggressive. They're very gritty. Like you said, they were first really challenged against that Texas team. They were down at one point 6-2 in that game, and they battled back and won 13-12. So Coach did talk about how he's going to force the midfielders to beat them, and also for them to score to get ahead, they're going to attack the wing. And as you see, they're already showing success.
Showing success indeed. The California native able to make it a 1-0 TCU lead. This one popped up in the air by Dan Doyle. It's plucked out of the sky by Griffin Egan, who had a great game against Texas A&M. Talk more about that matchup as well as the win over Texas Tech a couple days ago. But TCU on the attack, make it take it against Auburn. Lots of growing pains, Coach J.J. Arminio said, for this Auburn team. Very young, still a relatively new club in Auburn. A couple whistles will reset things here for TCU. Working near side. Cradling with that left hand, it's Michael Balasek, and he's able to put it home, and quickly TCU takes a 2-0 advantage.
And you're already seeing a different kind of TCU team. That last game they had versus Tech, I talked to Coach. It was a very long road trip. They didn't have a lot of time for warm-ups because it was so cold. He felt it was a very, kind of sloppy, very cold game. But at the end of the day, they were the better team. They just couldn't get to being as aggressive as they wanted to. And this is a totally different story right now. They are so aggressive, and they're already up 2-0 here early in the first quarter.
And this sideline for TCU loving it immediately, as you've gotten the first 2 goals of the game within 90 seconds of the starting whistle. Another face-off win here for TCU. Still trying to look for a clearance, though. Creedon being bantered from behind. And it's going to go out of play far side. Last touch by Auburn. TCU will have the possession. Here's Evan Jones working past midfield, splitting a couple defenders and getting a couple oohs and ahs from that TCU bench before he splits another pair of Tiger defenders and able to open some things up here for this TCU attack. Michael Fogarty with it right now. Had 12 goals last year, 3 assists on the season, wearing the number 27 in white. He's able to dump it back off. Here's Jones again. Paraded from behind. It's put onto the carpet, and it's swept up immediately by Auburn. Bryce Bennick with it as he works past midfield, and the Auburn Tigers have it in their possession and on their side of the field for the first time on the afternoon. Auburn, a team that likes to spread it out. Coach said they do a good job, but could do better at looking backside in order to attack a little bit better. Strong attack, and TCU wants to take that away immediately right in the middle, trying to force a shot right in the middle of the slot. That was Coleman Reagan with the brilliant look. Kind of slipped away from the TCU defense, and luckily for the Horned Frogs, it was going wide, went off into the right.
And already you're seeing how attack-centric they are, how aggressive they are, trying to get in as close as possible.
Long wind up, and the shot this time off to the left. It's Lloyd Delator on the shot that time. Auburn likes to pepper the goalkeeper. Crease dive. That one knocked away. TCU's going to pick it up. Here goes Fogarty running the other direction. He's being chased step for step by Coleman Reagan. Reagan will dump off and get a substitution in, but now TCU with numbers. Far side, long windup, cradling it back, and instead Jones will reset up top. Right back in the middle of the slot. That sling goes just off and to the right again. Flag back down here on the near side, just in front of our scores table. The shot from TCU, that was Michael Bacino, the midi from California, that sent it wide. And TCU is going to end up having a little bit of a possession and an advantage here as Auburn sees Sam Hovius into the penalty box. 2-0 TCU. 11:30 left, and a shot immediately during the penalty as that one was saved by Micah Kane. Chase Anderson was the one with the shot. Now Auburn looking for a clearance. They're being pestered by that TCU defense. Swept all the way back into TCU territory. Now the Horned Frogs have numbers. Looking near side for Cartwright. Nobody there. And instead Jones will reset. Still a couple seconds left here in the penalty. And finally the penalty will be served. Back to even strength. 11 minutes left here in the first quarter. 2-0 TCU as this shot goes wide from big number 23, Griffin Egan. And the freshman and one of many freshmen on this TCU lacrosse squad. Here's Anderson. Trying to work from the backside. Gets hit from the backside. That one popped up right in front of the Auburn sideline. Jones was able to gather it back in. And TCU continues on the attack. 50 seconds on the shot clock. Remember, 80 seconds on the shot clock in the new rules. That shot snuffed out immediately as Fogarty tried to get it off. Changing fields, getting it back over to Jones. Jones loses it in transition. And Liam Clayton. Oh, no, I take it back. That was Zach Brooklier. I was able to gather the ground ball for Auburn. TCU, usually the team that doesn't mind giving up shots because they've got Ryan Lawton in goal. Here's a brilliant opportunity for Auburn. A little bit of a miscommunication from the Tigers. Far side in front of the crease. Now the passing's still there. That one knocked away by Lawton. And it's going to trickle all the way far side. It goes out on the in line. And they're going to keep it with the Tigers. Good hustle there from Delator to keep it for the Auburn Tigers. Hold called. Resetting things here for Auburn on the attack. And it's going to be handled near side by Luke Milliman. Milliman wearing the 44, dumped it off to Coleman Regan, who's been all over the place. Coming from behind aggressively was Ethan Phillips. Oh, wide open. Milliman in the slot, and it's going to sneak past Lawton. I don't even really know how to describe it because it looked like Lawton had it in net, and then it trickled back behind him. He didn't even know that he didn't have possession, and it's going to be a 2-1 TCU lead as Auburn gets on the board for the first time in the afternoon.
That was just great. Give credit to the Tigers. I mean, unbelievable passing there, as they just know how to penetrate in and get as close to the goal as possible. So credit to the Tigers there.
9:15 left here in the first quarter, 2-1. And for the first time today, Auburn's going to have a face-off win at the X. Look at the passing here from the Tigers. Clanks off the post, goes out wide. TCU gathering it in. Whistles will blow, and it's going to go back to the Auburn side. Face-off win from Trey Robinson. Robinson in the X was able to take advantage of William Creedon. And you got Auburn again. Slinging that one, trying to bounce it in with Stone Bridges. What a name that is. Think there are any Stone Bridges around here anywhere? Well, there's one on the field right now playing in the Auburn uniform. Got to love some of these lacrosse names.
Absolutely. Some of them seem like just like actor names that like people like make up to try to make it big, but these are truly amazing names.
Oh, this is not made up. 8 minutes left. 8.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Knocked away by that TCU defense, but lost it in transition and a sideways swipe. I thought it went into the back of the net, but instead went off into the left. It's going to be picked up by TCU. The clearance being made by Tommy Riddell. And again, another violation on TCU as they try and get rid of it. And Auburn's going to get possession back here, 8-10 and counting. First quarter, only a 1-goal lead here for TCU. They led 2-0 to start the game.
You're just seeing such a stark difference between both these offenses. Auburn loves to kill time. They love to pass the ball to get the best shot possible, whereas TCU right off the bat has been very aggressive, very fast-paced. But it's starting to kill TCU as right now they haven't been getting the ball for a while here.
Yeah, that time of possession early dominated by the Horned Frogs, but it was mostly because of the success that they were able to have in shooting and effectively scoring. But now Auburn seeing that needle point back in their direction. Here's TCU on the counter, though. A couple extra bodies to deal with, and it goes off into the left. Micah Kane had to dive for it. Not sure if he really got a good look at that one as it whizzed by. Now here's TCU again. Miller backing his defender down, skips off a helmet right in the middle of the crease, and it goes wide again. Another good shot from Cartwright, far side. That one had a little extra mustard on it. 7-10 and counting left in the first quarter of action. Here's Cartwright looking for the stutter step. 8-on-8. He's faced up with Cole Scott, far side. 2-1 TCU with the lead here in the first. Cartwright cradles with the left hand, trying to switch direction. He swings this one around. Going underneath again. That's how he scored his first goal of the game and the first goal overall of the game. 6:50. Sideline coaching up here from the TCU side. Here's Balasek. Got a goal already, looking to try and fit it in the middle. This one knocked away immediately. Picked up out of the air by Chase Anderson, and they're going to call a crease violation as Anderson snuck inside. Good call there from the officials. A good strong call. Now it's going the other way, and Auburn looking to tie things up at 2.
And give credit to Micah Kane there. You know, he allowed those 2 early goals by TCU, but since then he has started to settle down and has really had a couple of great saves here.
Poor clearance from Auburn. Liam Clayton had a chance to pick it up. Couldn't do it immediately, but now you've got TCU again. Here's Alfonso. Goal line extended, working back behind the net, looking for an outlet pass. He's being berated from behind, and he'll finally give it to Cartwright. Good defense there from Ben Elrich. He'll give it to Jones up top. 6 minutes left here in the first quarter. Sino seeing some solid playing time. Didn't see the field a ton during that Texas A&M game. And the season opener. Now TCU on the road. Neutral site for the first time. How about Cartwright? Good defense again from the Tigers, forcing him out wide, trying to fit it into the middle of the slot. Picked up immediately. Top shelf TCU, Evan Jones. And the Frogs grow their lead back to 2 goals yet again.
Yeah, it all started with Cartwright. He kind of did that fake pass that he kind of did of a pump fake. Got up to the side. Somehow Evan Jones was able to, I don't know how he saw that ball, and just like a rocket cannon of a shot. And now TCU takes a 3-1 lead.
Well, you see exactly what respect this Auburn team has for Kyle Cartwright. The fact that he drew 2 defenders near side once he got to that goal line extended. Because of that, it opened up some room in the middle. He tried to fit it inside. I believe it was Fogarty who was camping outside the crease. The initial exchange didn't happen, but Jones was there to clean up the loose ball. And because of the shift of personnel to try and get to Fogarty and trying to get to Kyle Cartwright, Evan Jones had a wide open look and was able to snipe it top shelf. Now you've got Auburn on the attack after the face-off win. 5.5 minutes and counting here in the first quarter. Far side, Mike Bush. Guarded closely by Kyler Waldron. Now working near side, goal line extended. The exchange clean from Auburn so far. Trey Wood with it, taking his time. So Auburn team 4-0 on the season. Really got challenged yesterday. How about this one from Wood, and it's saved. Ryan Lawton with a great save on the shot from Trey Wood. Now TCU on the clearance. Saxaprillo with it back past midfield. That one knocked out of midair. Good play defensively by number 38, Grayson Cobble. Now Auburn on the counter, looking to cut that lead in half. Delatorre with it. He'll back things up and reset. Shadowed by Liam Clayton. Clayton with a great defensive play earlier in the quarter. Forced a counterattack. This one mishandled. On the near side, flags are going to fly from both directions. And TCU is going to be a man down after this possession here from Auburn. Tigers looking to take advantage. 4:08 and counting here in the first quarter. Delatorre saves, stood up into the net of Lawton. Lawton's been magnificent here in the first period. And the whistles blow, the flags and the penalties will be served. And it looks like the guilty party is Michael Fogarty working to the near side, and then also looks like Coleman Regan.
And this is where Auburn needs to take advantage. So with Fogarty now out in the penalty box, they're going to have to try and take advantage of that.
I'm not necessarily sure it was Fogarty.
Oh, it was actually
in the box.
It was actually Drew O'Brien.
Still trying to work some things out. Officials on the near side. Lots of substitutions. May not be. Yeah, there's finally the substitution. Ethan Phillips will be in the penalty box for 30 seconds. Auburn with the man up for the first time on the afternoon. Near side to try to take advantage, and there was no way that Lawton saw that one. Auburn snuck it behind the TCU defense, and the Tigers cut that lead in half, take advantage of the man up, and looks like Austin Corey was the one that was able to put it home.
Their movement just inside the crease is just so spectacular, and that's what's been keeping them in the game, because TCU offensively has really been dominant.
TCU much more efficient offensively in terms of time. However, Auburn has seen the time of possession shift their way. A lot longer possessions. Out of the face-off X, almost into the attacking zone here for Auburn, and it does go all the way on that side of the field. It's picked up by Harry Larson, but he's going to have to get rid of it quick. A dangerous pass, but Jones comes in to snag it. Now swim moves over a defender and gets it into TCU attacking territory. What an individual effort from Evan Jones to clear that one out. Dangerous in the middle of a couple Auburn jerseys. You saw Austin Corey with a chance to potentially pick that off. He would have had nobody between him and a tie ball game.
Evan Jones is only a freshman. He's already as good as a player he is. I can't wait to see what he brings further for TCU.
A freshman out of Oldsmar, Florida. Not sure if I'm saying that name right, but Florida definitely gave TCU a good one as a freshman. Look at this windup. Jones skipped it off the foot. And a save from Micah Kane, keeping it 3-2 in favor of the Horned Frogs. Underneath 3 minutes to play in the first. Now here are the Tigers on the attack. All the way past midfield goes Zach Brookmeyer. Oh, that's Brookler, excuse me. Brookler still with it. Goal line extended, looking for some help. And I think a timeout is going to be called by Auburn. They saw exactly what I was just talking about. Really no help there. A little bit of confusion substitution-wise. And Coach J.J. Armenia wanted to talk things over with his squad. Auburn trailing 3-2. TCU with the advantage early. They got up, scored 2 goals in the first 90 seconds of this first quarter. Then things kind of slowed down. Auburn taking time of possession, taking the there's no air in a lacrosse ball, but taking the air out of the offense, you could say. And you look at the way that Auburn has been able to dominate from a time of possession standpoint, and that's really the reason why this is a close game right now.
This is still unfamiliar territory for Auburn, because in their first 3 games of the season, they were just absolutely dominant. They won by at least 6 goals, and they finally were tested against that Texas game. And talking to Coach Purcell, he said that they're a really gritty team.
Yeah,
they're very aggressive, gritty. They're going to stay with it, and a good sized roster. They have a lot of size, and they're tested again here today against a very game TCU team, because Coach Purcell and them, they're here to be aggressive, and you're already seeing it, how they're being such quick offensively.
Yeah,
not really doing a lot of time of possession. They're just trying to get in as quick as possible. And as for the other side, Auburn obviously has been just moving the ball as much as possible and slowing down the pace to try and be more methodical.
Yeah. 17-8 win over LSU in the season opener for the Auburn Tigers. Then defeated ECU 16-6. Talk about the dominance in those 2 games for the SECLA or SELC. It's tough. SEC in NCAA sports, but in the MCLA, it's the SELC, Southeastern Lacrosse Conference. Lots of solid teams throughout that conference. You've got Georgia Tech, perennial power in club lacrosse, and then you've also got Georgia, who's a top 15 team currently, Ole Miss, of course, Alabama, always a big rivalry for the Auburn Tigers, and lots of good competitions. Why they wanted to take the Texas trip, to take on teams like TCU and Texas. That Texas game, like we talked about, a win for the Auburn Tigers, pushed them to 4-0, where they currently stand. They had a 13-12 win last night. Now looking to tie this one up against the Horned Frogs from Fort Worth. TCU with a 1-goal lead. Glad you're with us here on Game On Sports. 2:05 and counting left in the first. Here's Milliman working on that right side, finding a player right in the middle Flag will fly, and it goes in regardless. What a shot from Mike Bush. Was able to gather in the pass, turn around, and snipe it home from point-blank range, but while the contact was being forced on him, it's a tie ball game. Goal is good, and TCU is going to have to serve a penalty.
An absolutely fantastic goal. I mean, he got hit as he was falling, still able to follow through with his swing. And Ryan Lawton just did not know what was going on in that goal. It just went right past him because the ball went by so fast. And just like that, with 2 minutes left here in the first, tied game.
TCU has had a pair of 2-goal leads, led 2-0, led 3-1. Well, it's now been erased for the first time as Auburn has stacked up back-to-back goals. That one highlight reel material for sure. With the crease dive and the pass reeled in at the same time, and a very impressive look from Mike Bush. You saw how excited he was to get that one into the back of the net. Now you've got Auburn looking for a clearance, berated from behind. Chase Anderson giving chase. No pun intended. Ethan Phillips on the defensive side as well, but Auburn's going to reset here with Austin Corey, really the guy that Coach J.J. Arminio really liked to highlight before the game. Was talking about how Corey is really the captain. I mean, he's the guy who has such a high lacrosse IQ just as a sophomore as well. Really leads this team. A bright future for Corey as an Auburn Tiger. Look at this, changing fields. Good play. Running over out of nowhere was Harry Larson. Knocks it on the ground. Still on the carpet, waiting to be picked up far side. Got a scrum for the loose ball, and it's finally going to be controlled by TCU as Richard Hunnewell was able to grab it, and he's going to push forward. Here comes Liam Clayton past midfield. A great stand defensively here for TCU. Now let's see what that offense can do. Haven't really seen them a whole lot. Long shot, whistles blow beforehand, and Coach Purcell wants to talk this over. TCU with their first timeout call of the game. 38.8 remaining on the clock here in the first stanza of this one. 15-minute quarter is coming down to the wire here in the first. Tied at 3 between the LSA's TCU Horned Frogs and the SELC's Auburn Tigers. Quite a matchup here in Austin. A little bit cold. It's starting to warm up just a hair, but maybe that's just because the blood's starting to pump a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, and the wind's also slowed down as well, so that's better. And Coach said something to me earlier that I absolutely agree with. This game is very similar to the A&M game, and I'm starting to see a lot of similarities in terms of size, but it just seems that every time TCU starts to get something going,
yeah,
all of a sudden Auburn just gets that one goal and it just completely shuts down any momentum TCU's had.
Well, both teams have had maybe not success, but have had definitely experiences with games like that. You look at the game last night. We talked about the 13-12 win for Auburn over Texas. They actually trailed early in that game 6-2. And Coach Arminio in that game said, hey, that second quarter was really the key in getting the win. As they trailed by 4 goals, he said, hey, the guys didn't panic. Stayed together, stayed calm. They knew as soon as they went into halftime they were trailing by 1. They knew they had a chance to win that ball game. Here you find yourself down by 2 goals early, almost at the blink of an eye. TCU puts up 2 in the first 90 seconds of the game. And a great answer here from Auburn and the Tigers, as they really haven't seen it blink since then, as they've tied it up. And a young Auburn team still learning, but also 4-0. You've got a little bit of both sides. You've been winning games. You've been challenged now with the Texas game last night. TCU just as much. As we're back underway here after the timeout, 54 seconds left, as that shot clock doesn't matter. It's all about the game clock right now. Here's Kyle Cartwright, who had a goal earlier, assisted on another one, falls to the floor, desperately trying to find a white jersey, and instead it's turned over, picked up back out of the air by Auburn, and a long pass off of the long stick that actually got snapped in half. Have a little bit of a malfunction. No time to change it. How about Jones? Just before the end of the quarter, and Jones skips it off the carpet and in. TCU with a lead.
And the freshman again, the same position where he got his first goal. He's just lightning in a bottle for this Horned Frog team.
How about the shot from Evan Jones? His second goal of the afternoon gives the TCU Horned Frogs what will most likely be a 4-3 lead heading into the second quarter of action. Auburn looked to have had a clearance, but the turnover on the far side, and then TCU acting quickly was able to find big number 10 right in the middle of the slot, and he took advantage. Buzzer sounds from the far right-hand corner of Caven Lacorsse and Sports Center at Clark Field, and TCU is going to lead it 4-3 at the end of the first quarter. Really kind of dominated early. Auburn answered like you talked about, but TCU, unlike really we saw in the Texas A&M season opener, has found a little bit more of a stride and has been able to take a one-goal lead into that second quarter.
And you've been seeing that the Tigers have been relatively trying to keep Cartwright. They've been keeping him neutralized by double-teaming him. I mean, they got him they've literally been keeping him on the ground. I mean, it's been really difficult for him, and Evan Jones has clearly stepped up with two goals. He looks like he's going to have a great game. And defensively, even though it's 4-3, TCU has been doing relatively a great job of neutralizing this high-powered Auburn Tigers team, because you're looking at some of their past games, 15-7, 16-6, 17-8. This is a team that can just all of a sudden pop off and go on a scoring streak.
Well, you asked me before the game off air, you asked me, hey, what's your over-under for this game? And I said 20, because you look at the goal totals from Auburn, 17, 16, 15, 13 in their first 4 games of the year, and then you look at even TCU. They had the 10 goals against Texas A&M. They had the 9 goals against Texas Tech. Both of these teams have the attacks and the skill to be able to figure some things out and put some points up on the board, put some goals up there. But now 7 goals in that first quarter. We're on pace for an over-under of right around 20. What'd you end up answering to that question? Did you say over or under?
I think I was probably with you. I was also with the over because I thought Auburn was such a high-powered team, and they, like you were talking about Corey earlier.
Yeah.
He had a breakout game this season against ECU. He had 6 goals.
Yeah.
He truly had a great game, and TCU relatively they've been keeping him at bay for now. So they got to continue to do that and continue to go off to this fast start like they did in the first quarter.
Been relatively even from the face-off X as well. William Creedon back in there for TCU. And he'll be faced up with, not necessarily sure who is in the face-off X for Auburn currently. 15 minutes back up on the board. Second quarter of action here from Austin, Texas, on the campus of the University of Texas. Beautiful campus. Caven Clark Field playing home to a non-conference matchup of the MCLA. TCU leading it 4-3 here on Game On Sports. Kyle Yeomans alongside Saji Adam. Evan Jones with it now. Now TCU winning the face-off thanks to a couple whistles from the Zebras on the far side. Got Michael Fogarty revving up far side. Going goal line extended, working back behind. Going to try and wrap around here. Instead gives it to Cartwright. Cartwright now to Jones again, and Jones has really been the captain of this TCU attack today. 2 goals already. He's been in the middle of the action. Now far side. How about the move by Vecino? Dumps it off. How about that to Anderson, and it just misplayed out of the stick of Kyle Cartwright. Anderson with a brilliant pass. Cartwright was there just sneaking around near post. And TCU luckily to get it back, but a goal-scoring opportunity goes by the wayside. Here's Fogarty. Far side, that shot sneaks in. How about Chase Anderson? His first goal, and the Santa Ana, California native makes it a 5-3 TCU lead.
And yeah, now we're seeing another fast start for TCU. Just like in the first quarter, they got possession, immediately got off to a fast start, and same thing happens here in the second.
59 seconds into the quarter, Coach Purcell not happy about something, having a conversation far side with one of the officials. His Auburn coaching staff trying to coach up their players. I'll talk about their mindset, which is a little bit different than you would think, and I'll talk about that here in just a moment after this face-off. 14:01 left in the second quarter. TCU now with a 2-goal advantage. Couple violations from Auburn, one at the end of the first quarter, one at the start of the second, has resulted in a couple TCU goals. This was a tie ball game at 3 just a couple moments ago. Fight for the loose ball all the way into Auburn territory, and we're going to have a couple whistles and a potential injury timeout. One of the Auburn middies shaken up on the play. It's number 32, Trey Robinson. Looked to have dived for a loose ball, getting checked up by the trainer, who we can see on the screen. And for some reason, Utah Lacrosse's trainer is in the building. Maybe that's just the jacket. I don't know. Nonetheless, back underway after the injury timeout. TCU with possession, but looking to try and clear it. I was talking earlier, though, about the conversation I had with J.J. Arminio, and he was talking with us about, we'll wait for this, how about Anderson, left side, his second goal in about 30 seconds. And the biggest lead of the afternoon for TCU, they've put up 3 unanswered. And the Horned Frogs lead it here in the second.
I mean, they are just so quick scoring. And Anderson, they're just leaving him alone right at the wing. And he has so much time to wind up and get it in. And they're keeping to their word of attacking from the wings.
Substitution goalie-wise now here for Auburn. Out comes Micah Kane. And into the game is Christopher J. He'll play in net here for the Tigers, trying to change some things up as Kane just didn't necessarily have it today. Gave up 6 goals here in the first 2 quarters. Only had 2 saves on the game. On the other side, you got Ryan Lawton, who's had 4 saves and has given up the 3 goals, has had a little bit more success. How about that pass? Lawton, far side, finding the long stick and a play from behind. Flag will fly. The physicality forces a penalty. Cartwright trying to go behind the back. And it'll be picked up by Auburn. The whistles will blow. Shaken up on the play, though, was Ethan Phillips. He's the one that got caught from behind, I believe. Oh, no.
It was Zach Serpolo.
You're exactly right. It is Serpolo.
Yeah, and you're starting to see the frustration build in Auburn. That was just kind of a deliberate hit from the back. He looks a little shaken up on the play, but lucky he's able to walk off.
Yeah, Cole Scott, the guilty party. He'll be in the penalty box here for 60 seconds. TCU with a man up. They took advantage of it earlier. They didn't get the goal, so officially they're 0-1 with a man up, but they scored very soon after. Horned Frogs leading by 3 with possession. How about this wind up and a drive here for Fogarty? Goal line extended. TCU working it around. Cartwright thought about sniping it. Instead, he'll wind up and he'll send that one off, and it's saved. Good save there from Auburn as Christopher J gets his first action. This one bounced around. Good defense from TCU. No flags will fly. There's a whistle. And they're going to call a push. Giving it back over to the Tigers. 33 seconds remaining in the penalty. TCU will have the man advantage at least for a couple more moments. Physicality now from Cartwright, knocking it on the carpet as he berades Zach Brooklier on that far side, but Brooklier still able to work past midfield, and there's a flag far side that will end up giving Auburn a little bit of a chance. How about the point-blank shot from Mike Bush? Whistles blowing beforehand. They might call a foul on that as well. There might be another flag that'll fly. Bush shaking up on the play after the shot goes in. That's another point-blank goal for Bush. He had the diving shot earlier. And this time, it brings it back within 2, but he is shaken up after the play.
Yeah, on that series for TCU, they were just very aggressive. I mean, consistent slashing and a lot of pushing going on, and it caused them to leave it wide open near the crease, and it was just an easy goal, and it was a much-needed goal for Auburn.
Auburn needed a momentum swing, like you said. They changed goalies. Christopher J went in there, made a save with a man down, and then you've also got a chance now to win a face-off, get it back within a goal. Good to see Mike Bush up and on his feet, walking to the near side. 2 goals in the game already. Both have been highlight reel-esque, diving from near side. Just kind of lingers on that far post. He did the same thing on the other side in the first quarter. And it's going to be Drew O'Brien with a penalty, 30 seconds for the hit that he did place on Bush just before the goal. Still 12 seconds left in Cole Scott's penalty. So it'll be even for about 12 seconds. And then it'll be about 16 seconds with Auburn to be absolutely at full strength.
And you're starting to see how Auburn is similarly like the Texas game. They were down 6-2 in that game, and this game they were down 6-3. Now with a much-needed goal, they're going to try and maybe turn this around. But so far, there hasn't really been an answer for TCU's just quick-powered and just efficient offense.
Coach Arminio said that earlier. It's the second quarter. Hey, that's what gave them the advantage. It's what changed things for them. And a quick jump there from TCU. Creedon trying to get the head start, and it's going to go to Auburn. Face-off win for Trey Robinson. He was shaken up earlier in the game and glad that he's back out there. Now you've got the Tigers trying to cut that lead in half. Like you said, they'd given up 3 unanswered, trying to give TCU a run here toward the middle of the second quarter. How about this one right in the middle of the slot, skipping it off the turf. And I think Lawton got at least a piece of that one. Sent it out wide. Coleman Reagan was the one with the shot. Here's some speed from Jacob Salazar. Salazar near side. Usually wears the number 9. Forgot his jersey. Wear number 3 today. Long wind-up, knocked away, but it's picked up by Salazar, and he goes over the TCU defense. I'm not sure where the ball ended up, and I don't think TCU knew it either, but Salazar somehow got that one off of a ricochet in the middle of the slot, and he was able to gather it in and put it home. Makes it a 6-5 game. 2 unanswered now here for Auburn to bring them back within 1.
In the first game of the season for the Tigers, Salazar had a great game. He had 6 goals against LSU and now gets his first goal early in the second quarter. So now, it's like I said earlier, TCU did a relatively great job of holding back Auburn Tigers' high-powered offense, but now you're seeing the Tigers are slowly starting to get a lot more momentum.
Both teams have had success on the attack, and a big face-off win here for Dan Doyle. Got 2 defenders on him, tried to get rid of it before he stepped out of play, and he didn't do so. It's going to go back to the Auburn Tigers as they force a turnover. Now Auburn with a chance to tie it up at 6 on the counterattack. They're not going to take advantage of numbers. Instead, they'll go back to the game plan that they had earlier, which was slow some things down, get that time of possession back on your side.
And we talked about TCU's physicality. How about Auburn's physicality here in the second quarter?
There's a shot near side, saved by Lawton. Easy save 5-on-5 as Stone Bridges trying to go on the lower half inside that near post. Couldn't sneak it in there, and Lawton once again remaining rock solid there for TCU. He's given up the 5 goals, but he has been peppered with shots throughout the game. How about Miller trying to work around the crease, wrapping around near side, backing down a big defender. Big number 28, Jason Speshak. And TCU, thanks to Miller, will take a 2-goal lead again. Big answer from the Horned Frogs.
And kind of taking a page out of the Tigers' book, getting inside the crease as much as possible before scoring it in. And just like that, it's a 2-goal game again.
Jack Speshak was the defender that really the only one on the field that matches up well with Andrew Miller. Miller, usually the biggest body out there. Well, both of them right around the same size. I might even say Specialk has an inch. Flag will fly here immediately out of the faceoff. 10:16 left in the second quarter. Says first quarter up on the scoreboard. Threw me off for a moment, but it is the second quarter, I promise. 7-5. Wouldn't that be interesting with 10 minutes left in the first quarter and it's a 7-5 game? End up being like a basketball score. But instead, it is the second quarter. TCU leading by 2, and they're going to have possession and a man up. Trey Wood will be in the penalty box for 30 seconds, getting an explanation to that Auburn coaching staff and Trey Wood, who will take a knee. Evan Jones with 2 goals already. Giving it to Fogarty. Fogarty backed down immediately by that Auburn defense. Good stick play there from Cole Scott. Here's Jones. Fogarty, long windup. That one goes off into the left. Jay was there to try and make the save. Had a good read on it, but wasn't able to get a net in the way to slow it down. TCU remains on the possession. Miller fresh off of his first goal. The pass goes wide to Evan Jones, and no way for Jones to get it back. Oh, they're going to say it was tipped by Auburn. It's going to stay with TCU. Huge break here for the Horned Frogs. Still with a man up until right now as the penalty has been served. And even strength. Frogs on the attack. Saved by Jay. Put down on the turf, but he was able to pick it up again. Took him a little bit to gather it in completely off the shot from Griffin Egan, but the Frogs come up empty on this trip, and now Auburn looking to answer on the other end.
And so far, Christopher Jay for the Tigers has been doing a great job at goalie.
Yeah, he's given up the 1 goal. That was with Andrew Miller from just a couple feet away. Those are the toughest to get a net on. 9 minutes left and counting here in the second quarter. Auburn at one point trailed by 3, brought it back within 1, and then TCU was able to answer. How about this shot winding up, and an easy save for Ryan Lawton as he has been magnificent, especially late here in the second quarter. Lawton, big reason why TCU almost came away with a victory against Texas A&M, the defending LSA champions. Jones far side, slowing things down, setting things up. TCU at 1-1 on the season, off of their first win in LSA play, first win on the 2019 season against Texas Tech last Saturday. Only game number 3 for the Horned Frogs on the young year. It's game number 5 for Auburn. They've won all 4 of their previous contests. Looking to remain undefeated. They a little bit of jeopardy right now here in the second quarter, trailing by 2. TCU looking to really grow that advantage. Taking their time too. Shot clock down to 10. Horned Frogs better hurry it up to get a shot on goal. Here's Anderson back behind. Switches to defender, lost it on the turf, 3 seconds left. They're not going to be able to get this shot off, and it's going to be a shot clock violation. Heading the other way will be Auburn on the counterattack.
That was easily probably the Tigers' best defensive showing in this game so far, to allow a shot clock violation on TCU. And how great TCU's offense has been, it just shows that the Tigers have started to settle down here in the second quarter.
Cartwright had some openings. Egan had some openings. Even a little bit for Chase Anderson, but nothing enough to get a shot off. That TCU defense that's been rock solid here in the second quarter, though, will have to continue that streak. Here's Salazar. Had a goal earlier. Very shifty attacker. Milliman, far side, tried to skip it up and over. Went over the crossbar and off into the right. Another shot. That one goes high. Flag will fly. Harry Larson with the shot. Laid down the hit on Stone Bridges, and Bridges sent it high. Definitely see the physicality from both of these sides.
And it's starting to affect Auburn because now like multiple players have been shaken up.
Yeah. Bridges coming off to the side. Looks like he's okay, just getting checked on a little bit by that coaching staff. But it'll be a minute in the box here for Harry Larson, the class of 2020 sophomore out of Lake Forest, Illinois. Lots of out-of-state roster spots here for TCU. California well represented, Florida, of course Texas. California more than any other state on the roster though, including Texas. Long windup. Milliman sent it straight into the back of his teammate. Michael Morris took a shot, and it bounced out wide. How about this shot? Near side, and there he is again. Mike Bush has just snuck around that TCU defense all afternoon long, and with the man advantage, Auburn takes advantage again, and it's 7-6, a one-goal game here in the second.
And kind of piggyback off that, Bush, absolutely fantastic goal. Just threading the needle on that, just a perfect shot there. And just like that, it's a one-goal game. But TCU has, every time it's a one-goal game, TCU has 10 to just get a quick goal again to just completely shut down any momentum the Tigers get. Kind of similar to the A&M game.
Yeah.
Every time TCU started to get something going, A&M would just shut it down real quick.
Absolutely. Trey Robinson back to the face-off X against William Creedon here. And a face-off win. Initially, it looked like for Creedon, but an interesting play from Robinson, kind of backed off a little bit, let that one play out, and because of it, TCU is going to have possession. Definitely made it a lot tougher on Creedon, though. Now TCU trying to nurse a one-goal lead. Auburn not going away. We knew that was the case. How about Miller? Has a run. Near side, skips it underneath, but it goes too high. Up and over the crossbar. A great chance there for Miller. Andrew Miller, who had 15 goals last year. He had 3 goals against Texas A&M. Has one earlier today, but he doesn't have a second.
And it was a good job there by Jay because he tried to do that no-looker there where he tried to fake it a pass and get a quick score, but not allowing it.
So Auburn and TCU. Auburn on the attack. That one poked away. Fogarty put it on the turf. Out of the stick of Milliman. Near side for Reagan. Reagan trying to go right in the middle. Blocked again by Lawton. He couldn't get it a second time, though. Mike Bush with his 4th goal of the first half. Got it off the ricochet. The save was there, and on the second chance opportunity, ties the game up at 7.
Oh, man, how about that goal there? You want to talk about a highlight?
My
shot
goodness.
there, bounced off Lawton, and he was able to see where the ball was, grab it, and get a goal in. Man, what a special, amazing game Bush is having.
You saw Lawton, after the initial save, had to get right back up, took a shot on the initial save, nonetheless, got right back up and had to try and make an immediate save above his head. And a little bit of frustration afterwards, kind of a got to help me out here kind of look from Lawton. And they're going to give it back over to Auburn here off of the violation. 4:30 and counting, and it's going to be an Auburn lead for the first time on the afternoon. 3 unanswered, and the Tigers, thanks to the goal there from Trey Robinson, lead it 8-7.
And it's exactly like what Coach Purcell said. Gritty. This is a gritty team. They were down 6-3 against TCU, and just like that, they had their first lead. The second quarter, they turned everything around in that Texas game. And again, here in the second quarter is where everything's turning around at this game here at Caven Clark Field.
Well, this is a turn of events that TCU wants to talk over. They're going to call a timeout. There's also a penalty as well. Coach Purcell and company know that this is a very crucial final 4.5 minutes of this first half because, like you said, the grittiness from Auburn is showing. They've trailed the entire game, and Purcell not happy with it at all. TCU needs a goal here, ties it back up, and then you're going to have to turn some things around and be able to get some momentum heading into the third quarter of action here from Austin, Texas. Caven Clark Field, beautiful complex at the University of Texas in the shadow of Darrell K. Royal Stadium, the 100,000 mega stadium that's off in the distance. We can't see it from our current position, but oh, trust me, it's there. We've got a big dorm complex off and to our left, smack dab in the middle of campus. Have the Bullock Texas History Museum for all of our Auburn listeners. Yes, there's a Texas History Museum. They teach Texas history in high school classes here because there is a Texas history, and that's just across the street from us here at Caven Clark Field.
They're going to call that penalty on Tommy Riddell, and he's going to be a minute.
Glad you're going back to the game here.
It's a minute. And out of that timeout, you could overhear Coach Purcell. He's beside himself right now, giving up a huge lead that they had, a 3-goal lead. You hear him. He's like, I want physicality. I want you to get up in their faces in these next 4.5 minutes.
That's one thing that we haven't necessarily talked about a lot. We talked about the grittiness of just the mental aspect from the Auburn side of being able to come back from behind not 2 but 3 times now in the game and take their first lead. But really the physicality's been there. Been a lot of physicality, both sides, one of which having TCU with a player in the penalty box. Like you said, Tommy Riddell serving a minute in there for the penalty that he had just before the 4th goal here of the run for Auburn. 8-7, Tigers. A little bit of a pump fake. And this one skips over the goal. A little bit of pushing and shoving between the two sides. The shot was from Michael Morris, and he got a shove from Richard Hunnewell right in front of the crease. Auburn trying to egg it on from the sideline. Long wind-up, and that one goes off in the left. Coach Purcell egging his team on to stay tight.
And I completely agree with him. They're giving way too much cushion, allowing them to do basically whatever they want approaching the crease.
10 seconds left in the penalty. For Milliman. His first goal here in the second quarter. Eliminates the penalty. Only 5 seconds were left up on the clock. And with 3:34 left here in the second, Auburn now with a 2-goal lead here from Caven Clark Field.
And when you give too much cushion to a very aggressive, attack-centric team, that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely. It'll burn you. And that's exactly what Luke Milliman just did. Burned him from the far side, just about 10 yards out, was able to snipe it home underneath Ryan Lawton. 9-7, 3.5 minutes left here in the second quarter. Trying to go into the halftime break. TCU needs a win at the face-off X. They're going to get just that. Now they look for the clearance here from Dan Doyle. Big win at the X. Gets it forward, but the pass goes wide all the way to Miller, and Andrew Miller's able to pick it up and seemingly keep TCU in that momentum at least shifting in the direction. TCU really needs a goal here. Trailing by 2. They've given up 4 unanswered. Spencer Vieira with it now. Sending that one back behind to Anderson. Anderson, goal line extended. A sharp angled shot goes off into the left. Both coaches giving direction here in a tightly contested contest. How about this? Trying to go top shelf. Griffin Egan had a run. The Danville, California native. But it goes off and to the right. Because of that, Auburn gets it back. TCU comes up empty on the possession. Closing in on 2.5 minutes left in the second quarter. All the talking back and forth between the two sides. And I talked earlier, kind of teased it, never actually talked about it. J.J. Arminio, before the game, was saying, hey, I've kind of given up a lot of the reins in terms of designing the offense to a couple of my experienced players. Milliman with a shot goes off into the left. Said, hey, it lets the players be creative, and it really kind of lets them flow a little bit easier. The chemistry definitely up, giving some responsibility to some of the more experienced players, and it's working as of right now. And I asked him, I said, hey, is there any chance that there's a point where you kind of reel the reins in a little bit on that? I understand with the responsibility, but is there a cap where, hey, you're down by 3, I'm taking back the reins on the designing the play calls? Is that what's going to happen? And he didn't necessarily say that, and the race to the end line is going to go in favor of TCU.
And that was
good hustle, far side, Ryan Lawton.
Absolutely. It was a great job by him. He saw that he was the closest one. He tried to get a turnover there for Auburn. And, down the stretch here in the second quarter, you're seeing how many shots on goal Auburn's been having.
Yeah, they love to pepper those shots on the opponent's goalie. We talked about that earlier. But in answering that question from Arminio, I asked him, is there a cap on the creativity that you give your players if you're not necessarily having any success? He had said, maybe sometimes. I always kind of have my hands on the reins. I just kind of let them do the majority of the tugging. Gotta love letting the players be creative. TCU's got to get creative here if they want to cut this lead in half. That one skips underneath, and another big save by Jay. Swept out wide. Now Auburn looking to pick up the ground ball right in front of us. It's swept up high in the air, picked up by the Tigers. Hit out of bounds by Miller. They're going to give it to TCU. Big hit from Andrew Miller on the near sideline. No flags fly. Auburn wanted it, but it was a clean hit. And TCU, with under a minute remaining here in the first half, need a goal to get some momentum into the break.
Oh, man, that was just physical lacrosse at its finest. Miller marking his territory on that play.
Jones, so good in the first quarter, skips this one wide. Jay was there as well.
And what's good about a hit like that is that it creates confidence in TCU to be more aggressive.
Coach Purcell asked for some physicality. He got some physicality. Here's Chase Anderson, under 30 to play in the first half. A little bit more anticipation, intensity in the attack here from TCU. 15 left and counting. Don't have to worry about the shot clock. Jones berated by some Tiger defenders, put on the ground, 7 seconds and counting. Still out wide, picked up by TCU. Going to be given to Fogarty, but that is going to be the end of the first half. What an ending to the half for the Auburn Tigers. They trailed 7-5 toward the middle of the second quarter, and TCU just couldn't hold on to the lead. Auburn puts up 4 unanswered to end the first half of action, and they lead it 9-7 into the break here from Caven Clark Field.
At the end of the first quarter, it was 4-3. It was still a close contest, but you saw the TCU kind of had majority. Then at the start of the second quarter, it was 6-3. Then you saw TCU, man, they're really going to start settling down. But like I said, the Tigers, they're eventually going to break free. And just like that, they have a 2-goal lead heading. They have all the momentum right now going into the second half.
The second quarter was key to the Auburn win over Texas yesterday as they trailed by 1 going into halftime after trailing by 4 earlier. Like you said, trailed by 3 in this game. And they double up TCU in the second quarter, 6-3 in that second stanza. And they lead it by 2. 9-7, our score here from Caven Clark Field in Austin, Texas. We're going to take a break. We'll step away here for just a couple of moments. When we come back, we'll give you the third quarter of action. We'll set you up for the remainder of this one. It's MCLA action as the TCU Horned Frogs trail the Auburn Tigers 9-7 at the break. You're listening and watching MCLA Lacrosse on Game On Sports. TCU Lacorsse looking to answer after 4 unanswered from Auburn to end the first half of action. They trail 9-7 here from Caven Clark Field on the campus of the University of Texas in Austin. Glad you're with us on Game On Sports and our coverage of MCLA Lacrosse, the Lone Star Alliance versus the Southeastern Lacrosse Conference in non-conference action, and a little bit of a physical rivalry brewing just throughout the first 30 minutes of game action. Into the second half we go. Kyle Yeomans, Sanji Adam, TCU trailing, like I said, by 2, 9-7. Had led by 3 at one point, led by 3 again at another point, and led by 2 a multitude of times in that first half. However, Auburn never went away and then kind of waited for their moment, struck for 4 unanswered right in the last couple minutes of that second quarter, and because of that, they'll take the lead into this initial face-off to start off the third quarter. William Creedon in the face-off X. He's matched up with Trey Robinson. Basaji looking at these two teams as we get the second half underway. If you're TCU, what do you got to do to, one, bring this thing back and reel it back in within 1 or 2 goals, or with 1 goal really, and tie it up, and then sustain that to be able to take the lead?
Well, even though it's been a very physical game, I feel that they need to be more physical on defense. You heard Coach on the sidelines shouting, tight, get tight, get tight. They allowing way too much cushion. They allowed way too much movement for them to do, because that's what Auburn loves to do. They love to do a lot of methodical passing, keep moving the ball as much as possible until you get the best shot off. So already they're off to a great start, but not allowing a lot of cushion.
There's a bounce pass right in the middle of the crease off of the stick of Trey Wood. Good opportunity there for Lloyd Delatorre to try and get a good shot at that one on goal. Flag's going to fly. Goal will be good. And no surprise, it's Mike Bush again. Goal number 6 on the game. And we just started the third quarter.
Penalty's going to be called on Michael Fogarty.
Yeah, cross-check on Fogarty.
As Bush has got himself a double hattie.
And he's not done yet.
Oh, absolutely not. The way he's been playing, he 6 of the 10 goals for Auburn. He is having a spectacular day here at UT.
Yeah, he's 1 goal away from tying TCU's overall total. He's just been slippery behind that Horned Frog defense. It's been tough to find him and keep him covered. Dan Doyle into the face-off X. Robinson's been much improved from the very beginning of the game. TCU really kind of dominated the first quarter from the X. But since then, Auburn's really had the advantage in the make-it-take-it column. Auburn looking for the clearance. There's that physicality, though. Cartwright stepping over the line, and there's going to be a flag. I was waiting for that to happen. Wasn't necessarily sure if there was going to be a penalty there, but it is going to be Cartwright picking it up, and he'll head straight into the penalty box. Just crossed over the line a little bit too early, and now it's going to be a 2-man advantage for Auburn in the next 30 seconds. 32 seconds still remain in Fogarty's penalty, and then Cartwright will have a 30-second penalty as well.
And, I mean, you're losing Fogarty, easily one of your best players on your team, and now with that penalty you lose Cartwright as well, who's also been having a very good game. It's just obviously Auburn's going to try and take advantage here as they're up 2 men.
At 2-man advantage. TCU needing a break, trailing by 3 now. It's the largest lead of the afternoon for Auburn. Failed to mention the new goalkeeper in there for TCU, changing things out, and it's James Vills in goal, the Thousand Oaks, California native and a freshman. Getting some reps. He's able to come up, steps up, makes a play, and skips this one over his teammate far side, trying to find Richard Hunnewell. 1 penalty has been taken care of. Now both penalties taken care of. Back to full strength for TCU. And Auburn able to take advantage of their man up, which has been a rarity. Usually they're able to take advantage. And oh my goodness. Mike Bush again. 7 goals now for number 17 in Navy, as he has been unstoppable for the Auburn Tigers. It's an 11-7 lead for Auburn.
Yeah, 17 in Navy. He's got as many goals as TCU as a team has goals. So that just shows you.
That's unbelievable.
It was only a matter of time before the Tigers started. They started getting going. I know that they were truly tested. They weren't truly tested until they faced Texas. But this team is 4-0 for a reason. They've been relatively dominant in every game. And now, here in the second half, they have started to settle down. They're in a groove. They know their formula. And TCU has yet to find any kind of answer, offensively or defensively, to counteract it.
In a groove is right. They've put up 6 unanswered. Whistles are going to blow, and it looks like far side. William Creedon shaking up on the play along with his Auburn defender as well. Both face-off men shaking up. Trey Robinson on the far side also slow to get up. He's at least walking around currently, whereas Creedon has not necessarily gotten up just yet. He does get up and he'll walk off on his own power. Good to see. 12:33 left here in the third quarter. 6 unanswered now here for Auburn. This run gives them a 4-goal lead, their largest of the afternoon. TCU, I don't believe they've trailed by more than 4. I think they trailed by 4 at one point against A&M in the season opener. But one more goal for Auburn would give it the largest deficit for the Horned Frogs in 2019 so far. Back underway. Auburn with possession. It's going to be Brooklier trying to clear things out, showing off the speed, the afterburners to get past midfield, and the Auburn sideline loves it. It is going to be knocked away, and they're going to give it back to TCU. Flags fly, or not flags fly, but the whistles blow. This long shot and a big save from Auburn. Christopher J., who came in the middle of the second quarter, has been magnificent, only giving up the 1 goal. And a quick clearance for Auburn, and the Tigers back on the attack.
I mean, that's been the 2 key differences for Auburn. They've been much more aggressive on defense, completely halting. They're getting the ball out of the Frogs' possession. And also that change in goalie. Christopher J. has truly settled in and has truly been a stud at goalie.
Mike Bush making back behind the defense again. He's being shadowed by Harry Larson just outside the crease. Bush has 7 goals on the game, had 8 for the entire season so far coming in. He has almost doubled his goal output. He would if we found the back of the net one more time. Glad you're with us here on Game On Sports. Auburn trying to sneak that one underneath the freshman goalkeeping James Vills, and it's going to go back to TCU. Good hustle there from Vills, coming out of the crease, vacating it, and getting that one back for the Horned Frogs. 11 minutes left. Also do want to welcome our listeners and watchers, viewers, whatever you want to call it, on Facebook as well. Facebook Live here for the second half. Didn't have it for the first half. We've been live on Vimeo and YouTube for the entirety of the game, but welcome to our Facebook viewers. TCU trailing by 4. They led early in this game, really for the majority of the first half. Then toward the second, at the end of the second quarter, that's when Auburn started to swing the momentum. TCU trying to get a little bit of that back. Long windup, and that one skipped a little bit too hard off the turf. Out of the stick of Carson Alfonso. TCU there to get it back, though. Now working on the goal line extended. Anderson crossing fields, and it goes all the way over everybody. No way that one goes back to TCU. The turnover gives it back to the Tigers here with 10-11 left in the third. Auburn has been extremely efficient in clearing out of their defensive end really the majority of the game. That's something that TCU struggles with, is getting the clearance efficiently. Sizing up the defender, here's Corey. Only one goal in the game so far for Corey. Breaks back to his left, gives it far side, and a good save right in the middle there for Vills. Auburn tried to sweep it underneath them immediately after the ricochet, but he was there again, and Vills, despite giving up a couple goals here in this third quarter, is starting to find a little bit of a rhythm in between the posts.
Yeah, that was a great job there by Vills. I mean, he was completely turned around and was able to place the ball where it was and save it.
Cartwright wanted it. Wasn't able to get it to him, though. On the far side was Zach Serpolo. Here's Alfonso. Setting things up here for TCU, getting some direction from Coach Purcell and the coaching staff on the near side. Alfonso, spin move, left side, goes top shelf, goes up and over the crossbar. Now to play back behind Cartwright's there to pick it up for the Horned Frogs.
And that's unfortunate for TCU. When you're down 7-11, you gotta have those opportunities. You gotta try and make them when you can.
Over the defense, Alfonso picks it up off the loose ball. Fighting his way inside. Penalty flags will fly. Here's Cartwright. Goal line extended back behind. I believe that's Miller. Alfonso in the middle gets hit from behind again. Another flag will fly in. Whistles will blow before the possession was really given back to Auburn. But there should be two Tigers in the penalty box here in the next couple moments.
And we have our first official broken stick of the game of the season.
A couple broken sticks and a very frustrated Lloyd Delator on the near side, throwing his gloves down, and the stick broken as well. A little frustrated, getting the talking to from Coach J.J. Arminio, saying just, hey, relax. See the physicality, even with a 4-goal lead. Auburn, a couple players with the tempers flaring. So it's going to be two players for the Tigers in the penalty box. Delator will have a minute, whereas on the other side, Cena will have 30 seconds. TCU really in need of a goal. Misplays it. It goes all the way toward midfield. Whistles on the far side. I think the shot clock never started. They're going to get that rolling for a couple extra seconds. 8:06 on the clock currently. Yeah, the shot clock never got started. They're saying that 12 seconds had already ticked off, so it'll go down to 68. And then we'll get back underway after the misplay there from TCU. Game clock was underway. How about Jones sniping from long distance? Almost to the midi line, and that one goes upper 90 on the left-hand side, sneaks in inside the far post, and there's the first goal for TCU since the middle of the second quarter, trying to get some of that momentum back on the Frog side.
Yeah, Jones got relatively quiet after he hit his first two goals, and now he has come alive at a perfect time for TCU, and now they're trying to mount a comeback here in the second half.
Jones with his third goal knocks another one in, that one for the Hattie. 7:58 left in the third. Negates the penalties, empties the crowded box for Auburn. And back to the X we go. TCU needs a win face-off wise, and thank you, Tommy Riddell. Came over from the far side and was able to sweep it up immediately. Great ground ball. How about Chase Anderson, though, trying to set some things up. Substitutions here for TCU. In comes Spencer Vieira, as well as Michael Balasek, who has a goal from earlier in the game. Trailing by 3, TCU fresh off of their first goal since the second. That one popped out of the air on the ground again. Still not being swept up. Finally, Auburn gets possession. Far side now for the Tigers on the run. Knocked away. Zach Saperlo able to delay the transition game there from the Tigers by forcing it out of bounds on that in line. Mike Bush with it currently.
And just great defense there on the other side by Bennick. Completely taking out of Anderson's hands. It was a great defensive stand there for the Tigers.
Auburn working it around. Stone Bridges now with it. Far side, getting berated from behind, loses his footing, gets right back up, still has possession. Crease dive. No, he goes off into the left. Out of play. Auburn is there. Auburn leading 11-8. Auburn on the shot. Good save again as James Vills continues to impress. The freshman crossing fields. Here's Alfonso winding up. No, gives it far side. Cartwright sends it to the off and to the left. Past the halfway point here in the third quarter. Frustration from the Auburn side, and they're going to be calling a timeout. Tigers want to talk things over on the defensive side. TCU starting to get a little bit of that momentum, extra pep in the step after the Evan Jones goal, and Jones able to put the Frogs on the board here in the third quarter, and now you've got a couple defensive stands. You've had some good saves from James Vills. TCU really needs to carry this momentum into the back of the net is what they really need. But at the same time, at least you have a little bit of something going your way for the first time since that Auburn run started.
I mean, when you play a game between these two teams, very good teams, obviously there's going to be momentum shifting back and forth, back and forth. Both coaches expected this to be a close game. Coach Purcell expected it to be at least a 2-goal game. He expected it to be very close, very tight, very contested. And obviously, Coach Arminio is obviously expecting that as well. And like you said, it's obvious that TCU is starting to get momentum back slowly. Hence, the frustration Auburn sideline is starting to grow a little bit. As sticks have been broken, it's been very physical. And with 5 minutes and 57 seconds left here in the third, TCU they've got to take advantage of these opportunities that they've been getting and try to get some goals in.
In talking with Coach Arminio beforehand, he talked about how really spreading the field, looking backside, those were some of the big keys for his team to be able to be successful against a team like TCU. And nowhere in that did he say, hey, be extremely physical. Well, that's exactly what they've been. And maybe that's just because it comes with the trade and he knows that the physicality is going to be there from his roster. And, well, they haven't disappointed, but the Auburn grad played for the Tigers from 05 to 09, now at the helm of the Tigers for the second year, trying to lead them to a 5-0 record. TCU doing all they can to make sure that doesn't happen. And it's not going to help out whenever whistles will blow against you in the attacking zone. Auburn now will work the other direction. Jay coming all the way out. Anderson challenging him. Once again, clearance has been there for Auburn the entirety of the game. Coleman Regan with it now. Under 5.5 to play in the third. Milliman had a goal in the second quarter, really kind of started the run for Auburn, would start another one here. Stead dumps it off to Delator. Delator again, that one from behind. Heard that one from way over here. And TCU will look for a clearance. Now being berated near sideline, trying to force him out of play. Tommy Riddell not having it in the long stick midi. He's able to get it all the way back to Vills. Vills now clearing that one all the way forward. Skips over everybody, out of play, and it'll go back to Auburn. Kind of a desperation heave there for Vills running out of time. to get it over that in line. Auburn forces the turnover, leading by 3. Seen some elusiveness from number 24 in Navy, Zach Brooklier. Auburn's got some speed. They've got the physicality like we talked about. Milliman. Spin move, cradling with that right hand, gives it back far side to, oh, that one right in the shin. Falling on the ground was Delator, and he is still holding called on TCU. Delator still on the floor, took one to the shin, and you saw him go down immediately. Hopefully nothing more than just a stinger, but he will be checked on by the training staff, and TCU on the defensive side as well. Trying to keep this Auburn lead within 3 with 3:51 left in the third quarter.
And now that's at least the 4th player that's been shaken up in total for both teams. And this has been a very physical back-and-forth game. Tensions are high as Auburn is so far is undefeated on the season. They want to keep it that way. And as for the Horned Frogs, they're trying to get on a winning record and not fall to 1-2. And it's just, you're just seeing a lot of unnecessary penalties from the Frogs here on the defensive side.
.350 and counting. Auburn on the attack. Trey Wood with it. Look far side for number 17 in Navy. He's got 7 goals in the game already. This one near side as well. Clinks up off of, I think, the stick of Vills. I don't know if that hit post or stick. Couldn't necessarily see it. I'm kind of blocked view-wise from by the TCU sideline. Nonetheless, it goes wide, and that TCU defense stands strong, at least for the moment. Still trying to secure another defensive stop. Talk about the 4-0 record for Auburn. Last year started the season 1-1, just like TCU. They won their first game last year to Columbus State, then lost to Central Florida before drawing against the University of North Texas in Auburn. So looking to go 5-0 on the 2019 season. They finished 6-6. A couple heartbreaking losses for the Tigers last year. Could have changed some things. Both of those heartbreaking losses, like I talked about, in overtime. If you get those to go your way, you're 8-4 instead of 6-6. Much different look on the season. But how about 5-0, and how about 8 goals for Mike Bush? Unreal from 17 in Navy, and Bush, that time from point-blank range, just outside the crease, and there was not a whole lot James Vills could do.
It's just been effortless for him. He's just been this poison to this TCU team, and TCU's desperate to try and find an antidote here in the second half. But man, it's difficult right now because no matter what TCU does, they just can't seem to try and turn the ball over and get it to their side offensively.
Bush last year led this Auburn team with 28 goals, had 4 assists in 12 games played. Played in all 12 for Auburn, and now he doubles his current season total in 1 game. Had 8 goals entering into the afternoon, and he's going to leave with at least 16. Like you said, he has been a thorn in the side of this TCU defense. How about that shot, though? Off balance. Michael Fogarty slingshots that one inside the far post, and TCU with a laser brings it back within 3.
And that was a much-needed answer by TCU, and it all started with Fogarty. Great shot there. And now you got to win at the face-off here with 2 minutes and 34 seconds remaining here in the third quarter.
A lot of pressure for Dan Doyle here to try and win a face-off against Trey Robinson, who Robinson's really been dominant throughout the game so far. Especially in the second and third quarters. 2:34 on the clock until we head to the final stanza. And another win. Robinson, no, they're going to. I love the commentary from the TCU sideline.
Both sidelines have been
absolutely
very loud.
They've been vocal on both sides, and usually from a broadcasting perspective, we've been on the opposite side. We don't hear the conversation from the sidelines a whole lot unless we have a microphone across the field, which is very rare. But being right in between both sidelines and just situated back behind the scorers table has definitely been an intriguing viewpoint. Jones shoved from behind, able to get it back after putting it on the carpet. Looks over everyone, looking for Alfonso. No, that one goes up and wide. Actually, that was Michael Bassino. And back on the end line to pick it up was Egan. Egan taken down from behind, and a flag, of course, will fly as he was tackled outside the crease there by Cole Scott. It's the second time Scott's going to visit the penalty box here on the afternoon.
And you see Bassino coming to the sidelines. He is frustrated with himself. That's now 2 times I've seen how TCU had wide open looks going into the crease, and it was just a little too high.
Yeah, a couple of those shots have just sailed on the Horned Frogs. They were so efficient early in the game. Put up 2 goals in the first 90 seconds of the matchup. Looking to get some of that back here. Here's Miller. Goal line extended, makes a swim move, gets it saved on the near side by Christopher J. Now going all the way to the far sideline, out of play, and Auburn forces a turnover.
Unbelievable effort there by Auburn to not give up on the play and to make it your possession. Now another flag's going to be thrown, as that's just out of frustration.
A frustration foul for TCU. That was a huge possession, and it'll end up going back over to TCU. However, the penalty served by the Horned Frogs, and it's going to be Kyle Cartwright. Can't believe it as he comes to the near sideline. See the frustration there from Cartwright. He's had a great game so far, but called on the penalty, and with 1:32 left up on the clock here in the third quarter, TCU. It'll be even strength for both teams, and then Auburn will have an 8-second advantage. Not enough time to get anything set up. Oh, what a move from Milliman. He's going to wind up, and he'll go straight into the 5-hole underneath Bills. And Milliman from about 10 yards out puts that Auburn lead back at 4.
And Milliman mailing it in on that play. That was just an absolutely beauty of a shot.
A little bit of a celebration coming to the sideline. Well earned from the Snipe Show. As Milliman makes it 13-9. Auburn still with a player in the penalty box. Cole Scott serving his minute penalty. 25 seconds remain on that, but back to the face-off X. Every goal from here on out will be crucial for TCU to be able to stay within reach. Trailing by 4, already a tough task, and we're not even to the fourth quarter just yet. Whistles will blow to go back over to Auburn. A little bit of a hidden ball trick, or at least trying the hidden ball trick, as Aiden Stoppridge is into the game for the first time. Showing the stutter step and now turning on the afterburners. Going goal line extended, looking right in the middle. He has Salazar, but he didn't get there. Instead turns back around and decides to reset some things here with Milliman. Milliman with the long legs faced up against Evan Jones. Able to get a little bit of space, and he clanks it. That one off the post and in. 2 straight for Milliman, 2 straight again for Auburn. And they take their largest lead, now up by 5 here in the third.
And it was basically from the same position, just on the other side. He's had, what a great stretch here for Milliman. Back-to-back great goals. And now TCU, They just can't find anything. They just can't get anything going defensively.
A Hattie now here for Luke Milliman. Third goal of the game. Joins the 8-goal scorer and Mike Bush as the two players for Auburn who have put up a hat trick here on the afternoon. Dan Doyle unable to win the face-off, clanked in from behind, knocked away. No flags will fly. They're going to blow a whistle. As once again, this is the second time that Trey Robinson's been shaken up. Took a hit from behind from the long stick of Ethan Phillips, and the captain for TCU.
And you also saw Austin Corey trying to plead his case with the ref on the whistle blow.
Yeah. Auburn wanted a penalty. There is no flag, just an official's timeout. They're going to give it back to TCU, I believe, and that's where we'll resume play. 28 seconds left here in the third quarter. TCU led this game earlier. If you're just now joining us, whether it be on Facebook Live or YouTube or Vimeo, TCU had at least a 3-goal lead twice in the first half until Auburn really took control of this game toward the end of the second quarter. Now TCU trailing by 5, needing some kind of momentum heading into the final frame. They have been shut down, and they're going to give the possession back to the Tigers of Auburn. 10 seconds left. Long heave all the way down. It'll go out of play on the end line. 5 seconds left. That was more of just a clearance and a time killer than anything. And the clock's going to run down here in the third quarter. One last opportunity for TCU, and it goes wide. So the Frogs trail it by 5, 14-9, heading into the fourth quarter. Auburn in that quarter just, once again, putting up big numbers, outscoring TCU 5-2 in the third quarter alone. They outscored the Frogs 6-3 in the second quarter. But TCU really needing something big here to try and at least get back into the game. They're going to need a run, and they're going to need it pretty quickly because time not on their side here, Saji.
Yeah, the second half, that's the third quarter is such an important quarter because that's right after halftime where you try to make all your adjustments. You try to see if you can try something new. And unfortunately for TCU, it was their lowest scoring quarter. And it couldn't have come at a worse time. Now going into the fourth quarter, you got 15 more minutes to try and make this 5-goal comeback. But the way it's looking right now, it's going to be very tough. They have a bit of a mountain to climb here.
He's Saji Addo. I'm Kyle Yeomans here from Caven Clark Field. Game on sports coverage of MCLA Lacrosse. Lone Star Alliance in the Southeastern Lacrosse Conference matching up in non-conference play in the shadow of Darrell K. Royal Stadium on the campus of the University of Texas in Austin. Starting to turn into a warmer day. Temperatures risen since the start of the game. It was 43 during the opening face-off. Now climbing up toward the 50s, into the 50s, as the sun's kind of poking through for the first time here on this Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm actually starting to feel my arms again.
Are you?
I actually am.
Well, there you go.
I can kind of feel my fingers, so that's
getting
good.
Getting a little thawed out here. Hopefully for TCU's sake, they would get thawed out and maybe have a chance to get back in this ball game. Trailing by 5. They're going to rely on William Creedon, a senior out of McKinney, to try and win a face-off. Instead, a violation. He tried to get a little bit of a head start. And once again, Trey Robinson continues his dominance in the face-off. Vex, both teams shifting personnel, and because of that, a turnover. Trey Wood just wasn't looking and swept it right into the stick of TCU and Michael Fogarty. Fogarty letting one rip from about five yards away, and it goes off into the left. Now you've got Evan Jones resetting right near midfield.
And I don't blame TCU for trying to rip it from so far because when you're down by 5, you got 1 quarter left, you're desperate for a goal.
Here's Jones skipping it in, far side. The fourth of the day for Evan Jones, and the freshman once again trying to provide a little bit of a spark here for the Frogs as they're in double digits for the second time on the year.
He's been having a great game. This is something that they really needed this goal. With 14 minutes and 20 seconds left here in the fourth, and they were desperate for a goal as they were being very aggressive. It finally paid off on the second try, and now they got to try and win the face-off here.
High-scoring affair. We set the over-under off-air as 20. Try and see which team would take advantage of scoring. Well, both teams have taken advantage and seen the double digits now for both sides. Flag's going to fly. Auburn loving it on the near side as the frustration continues for TCU.
Coach Purcell's beside himself on the sideline. He's yelling at the refs, saying, basically, what are you looking at? As just a lot of penalties have not been going in TCU's favor.
Whistles have been blowing all the way through this one. Milliman right in the middle trying to find Bush again. It's 9! Mike Bush with 9 goals on the afternoon, a triple hattie.
I'm literally speechless right now at his performance. It's just so, it is something to watch today here at UT, here at Caven Clark Field, having a career day. He has just been a one-man wrecking crew for Auburn.
He has been the bugaboo for TCU.
Just what a spin move on that play to complete it. Just absolutely fantastic.
He's been able to sneak away from that TCU defense all day. Oh, and that was a nice snag. How Trey Robinson continues to win faceoffs, and they're keeping that energy flowing on the near side. Bush with it, back behind net. Auburn back to that 5-goal lead. It didn't fluctuate for very long. Steadily taking that time of possession. 50 seconds left here on the shot clock. Here's Milliman. Left side, shot saved by Vills. Solid stick save there. Now TCU pressing. Jones, a lot of green to work with. Milliman, the only one really in between. Here comes that Auburn pressure. Andrew Miller now far side, slowing things down. Miller's been relatively quiet. Had the goal earlier where he backed down a defender, but you got to really credit Jack Speshak on the way that he has been able to guard one of the more dangerous TCU attack. Oh, nice spin move. Miller setting things up, sent it off into the left, and Cartwright's there to pick it up on the end line. 12:19 left in the ball game. Jones, 4 goals already. Thought about it, but the shadowing was there. Brooklier not letting Jones get an extra step. Here's a step from Jones and a save from Jay. Christopher Jay again with the save. Giving it to Brooklier, far side. He'll work past midfield. Auburn back into attacking territory. Clock's continuing to run. Auburn obviously not worried about any type of anticipation, any type of time management, just taking all the time off the clock. Here's a chance underneath, saved again. Vills, 2 straight save for the freshman. Sending it forward, that one on the short hop, gathered in by Riddell. Near side, goal line extended. Miller, that one's in. Snuck in the near post, and Miller with his 2nd goal of the afternoon brings it back within 4. TCU's not out of this yet. Clock running thin into the 4th quarter. You get on a run. This is a TCU team that has shown before that they can strike quickly. And if the Horned Frogs continue to push that momentum a little bit more in their favor, you can see something change here in the next couple of moments.
Oh, yeah, it is, without a doubt, not even close to being over yet. You still got 11 minutes. You're down by 4 goals. The only problem is that you got to stop a guy named Mike Bush who has 9 goals trying to get into double digits here. If they can try and slow him down.
Oh, and a flag.
Flag thrown here.
Dan Doyle looks like he's going to get flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. He can't believe it. Coming to the near side, he lost the face-off, and a flag flew immediately. Getting an explanation here. No, it's not going to be unsportsmanlike. It's a violation on the face-off. Neither Doyle nor Coach Purcell agree with the call.
Yeah, they're saying he traveled on the play. He's supposed to keep both his feet set. He was trying to plead his case, but the ref said, hey, it's the right call.
30-second penalty here for TCU. Man down by 4. Chase Anderson will have to wait to sub in for Dan Doyle. Bush back out there. He has 9 goals. He's got it now, 17 in Navy. Passing it around. I believe he has an assist as well. Don't have updated stats. Oh, wow. How crafty can you get? As Jacob Salazar caught that and then backhanded it underneath James Vills for what is a cheeky 16th goal on the afternoon for the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, a bit of a hat trick there by Salazar. And it's unfortunate because it just seems right when TCU, and I know it sounds like a broken record, TCU's just starting to they're just starting to climb back, but then just a heart-wrenching goal happens by Auburn. And just credit to Auburn there for still being aggressive, not trying to be a passive offense, but just trying to kill clock. They're still trying to put this away.
Michael Layson. Oh, flags are going to fly again. That is another shot taken by Trey Robinson. He has had a rough go at it, and despite being shaken up for the majority of the game, still continues to win at the X. That time he got a win against Michael Layson, the Georgetown native, just a couple miles from his hometown. Down here in Austin, and not sure if it'll be him or Tommy Riddell called for the penalty. 2 flags flew in. One is sitting in the net of Kyle Cartwright currently as he hands it back to the official. 10:35 left up on the clock. Our clock continues to run on our graphic, but it's 10:35. Clock has been stopped.
And they're going to give Riddell a minute in the box.
Tell you what, there's a lot of air traffic around the University of Texas.
Is.
I've heard jets, I've heard airliners, I've heard choppers,
only
traffic copters everywhere.
It's only in
We're
Austin,
a company, no, not really. Like we're a company based out of Dallas, but I just didn't know Austin had that much air traffic. How about some of the air traffic there? There's a nice pass for TCU, trying to find Anderson in the middle of a mass of humanity right outside the slot, and the turnover gives it back over to the Auburn Tigers. 26 seconds off the clock on the penalty. And Milliman on the far side couldn't handle the long pass. Gives it right back over to the Frogs. 10 minutes and 2 seconds left up on the clock here in this one. Only 25 seconds left to kill in the penalty for Tommy Riddell. TCU still a lot to grow on, and Coach Purcell told us before the game, hey, this is going to be a lot like that Texas A&M game in terms of the talent on the other side. I'm seeing that in full force because this is a very good Auburn team, and of course, with a win would improve to 5-0. But you look at the way that like you said, it's almost like a broken record. The momentum swings potentially going in favor of TCU, and then a quick goal on the other side, and maybe even a few more quick goals on the other side to kind of add to the fact as Miller sweeps this one back into play, still trying to pick it up off the carpet. Ground ball picked up by TCU, then put directly back onto the turf, and Miller still berated by a couple of Navy jerseys. And the scrum for this loose ball is going to go all the way out of play. Last touched by Auburn. And TCU trying to get a head start. Kyle Cartwright was a couple steps away. And the officials say, no, come on back. But in talking about the positives, there were a lot of positives out of that TCU loss to Texas A&M. And Cartwright saw that one slipped out of the stick. How about this shot from long distance out of the stick from Fogarty? Clock nearing that 8.5-minute mark. And now Auburn on the clearance, far side. Brooklier all the way past midfield. This Auburn sideline is absolutely loving it. What a win this would be for the Tigers. Had 6 wins all of last year. This would push them to 5 in 2019. High expectations for this Auburn squad. Couple substitutions. Logan Barber in for the first time for the Auburn Tigers. You've also got Stone Bridges out there. He's been in and out, along with Aiden Stopperich. Nine goals for Mike Bush. Bush still in the game, potentially looking for 10. If he can get one more past James Vills, this trying to find Logan Barber right in the middle of a mass of white jerseys. Couple substitutions, and now TCU pushing past midfield off the stick of Hunnewell. He's able to gather it back in. No panic there from Hunnewell as he gives it forward to Chase Anderson. Now got Fogarty, who had 12 goals on the season last year. He'll pepper it back and forth. Evan Jones, who has 4 goals on the day. Fogarty showing the physicality, then turning on the afterburners to get around the goal line extended. Here's Miller. Or no, I take it back. That's Egan with it.
Let's go, G. Let's go, G.
Griffin Egan trying to sling one around. He's hit from behind, almost lost his balance, and he's able to switch fields. Now to Jones. Jones gets it saved by Christopher J., who has been magnificent in shutting the door on a couple TCU attacks. Now the clearance picked off out of midair. Alfonso able to grab it. How about the dive and the goal with the flags as well? TCU, Griffin Egan diving far side. And they still trail by 4, but a big-time goal for TCU, and they will have an advantage as well as they look to try and get a run going here in the 4th.
An absolutely great goal here, and also Michael Bassino on the sidelines going around all his players saying, hey, let's go. It's still a game. We're still in this. And it's just a great job here by all the players by still staying confident to come back, because it's still a 4-goal game with 6 minutes and 14 seconds remaining.
If you could get it back within 2 or 3 goals, TCU has the explosiveness to take advantage in the final 5 minutes, but you've got to get a couple goals here. Got William Creed in at the face-off X. Trailing by 4, 6:14 left in the ball game, and a big win again from a up Troy Robinson. Robinson puts it on the turf, trying to find a different player. Bush falls to the ground as well, and TCU emerges with the loose ball. Hunnewell looking for a clearance. He finally gets it to Anderson. Anderson waiting for a substitution to get this attack started. Skips it across to Bassino. Now you've got Fogarty Trailing by 4, nearing the 5-minute mark. Here's Fogarty. Thought about a run, skips to the outside, turns back around looking for Jones. Dumps it to Jones, and now Jones near side will give it to Anderson. Still no room. Good defense and good rotation there from Auburn. Jones splits a couple defenders, keeps that stick away on the right hand. Flags will fly again, and this one will skip out of the back line. Opportunity for TCU now here with a man advantage, as it looks like Bryce Bennick will be the one that's sent to the penalty box. Tigers have done a great job on the penalty kill throughout the game, though. TCU has taken advantage only twice. And it's only a 30-second infraction here for Auburn. TCU in need of a goal to try and bring it back within a trio. Jones got a step on his defender. Back to Cartwright. Cartwright hit from behind. It's another flag flying in against Auburn. And now Chase Anderson wants to slow some things down. Underneath 5 left. There's 50 seconds left on the shot clock as this shot goes wide off of the dorm building to our left.
And Cartwright with his helmet off as he absolutely got rocked on that play. And rightfully, a flag was thrown as Auburn is starting to make some needless mistakes down the stretch here in the fourth.
Started to get shaken up a little bit. Yeah, like you said, Cartwright comes all the way over to the sideline. You see him walking on the left-hand side there as TCU's going to call a timeout. So there's 6 seconds left in the penalty that's keeping Bryce Bennick in the box for Auburn. And for the third time today, Sam Hovius is in the penalty box for the Tigers as well. It's a 30-second infraction there, too. So for 6 seconds, coming out of this timeout, TCU is going to have a 2-man advantage. And then they'll have a man advantage for the remainder of that 24 seconds. And if you're TCU, if you can get a score within that time frame, you're back within 3. You've got some momentum. You get a face-off win there. Not only are you not out of the game, but you've got momentum fully on your side. If you're on the other side, Auburn, you got to be able to take advantage to basically squash the bug here. If you can come out of this without a goal and you get possession back, then it's going to be a lot tougher on TCU, especially with that clock starting to run down.
It probably will be tougher, but looking in the huddle, what a soundbite from Coach Purcell. Continue this fight. Continue this fight. And they are consistently fighting since they lost that lead. They are battling back. It's still not over yet. Just under 5 minutes left here in the fourth. And you're hearing a lot of players on the sideline say, hey, we got the momentum. We got the momentum. Let's keep it going.
Trying to continue that momentum. TCU with a 2-man advantage. No more. Still 1 man up. TCU in need of a goal here in the next 25 seconds. Frogs. Anderson. Far side. Fogarty gets it to the back of the net. And TCU able to come through with a man advantage. Only 9 seconds left on that penalty. Hovius frustrated on the sideline. His teammates couldn't pick him up, and then we're back within 3. 16-13, a new season high for TCU, by the way. And Fogarty able to just snipe that one home for another goal here on the day.
Tigers led by as much as 5 at the end of the third quarter. It was 9-14, and just like that, it is a 3-goal game. And just great adjustments here down the stretch offensively by TCU, getting back to their roots in the first quarter by being more aggressive.
Good play from TCU. No flag flies. Auburn really wanted a penalty called. Very frustrated on the near sideline, but TCU now with possession and only trailing by 3. Talk about that momentum swing. Nearing the 4-minute mark. Here's Fogarty, who scored 2 here in the quarter alone. Jones has 4 on the game, got hit as he shot it, and it goes out on the end line. Miller's there to pick it up. TCU trying to make this a game. Underneath 4 to play. Here's Miller. Once again, berated from behind. Jack Speshak has just been all over Andrew Miller. It's picked up somehow by Chase Anderson, but it's put back on the carpet. Near side picked up. Great play and stick play from Griffin Egan. As the freshman out of Danville, California, gets it back into the hands of the attack here for TCU. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Don't have to rush it shot clock-wise. Game clock might be a different story. Trailing by 3, you can't really allow another Auburn possession. You've got to take advantage of every chance you have. Jones sends it high. Chase reels it in. Anderson, far side, skips it off the foot of Jay all the way back into Chase Anderson's hands, and they're going to reset the shot clock at 80. Fogarty spins back to his right, loses his footing, puts the ball on the carpet, tried to pick it up, couldn't do so, and Auburn is going to get the possession back past midfield, and the Tigers on the counter have plenty of numbers, but they want to slow it down, kill some clock. 9 goals on the game, and make it, nope, not 10 yet there for Mike Bush. He had a step on his defender, Kyle Waldron. Great job from behind to be able to knock that one away and force that shot wide. 2:40 and counting, Auburn with possession, and they've got 60 seconds they can kill off of that game clock if they wanted to hold. Leading by 3, Salazar with the speed, being chased by Richard Hunnewell. Hunnewell gives way, and now it's Jinzinger. Long pass. Picked off by Evan Jones, and TCU working past midfield. Mike Bush giving chase. Long pass again, far side. Now it's into the hands of Spencer Vieira. Under 2 minutes to play. The intensity ratcheted up here from Austin. Goal line extended. Miller, spin move, tries it with the right hand, lost it in the process. And a good play there by Carson Alfonso to just be able to gather that one back in. No panic from TCU, but they are running out of time.
I feel there absolutely should be a sense of urgency right now because now you got a minute 29 left.
And they just gave up the possession. Now with 80 seconds fresh on the shot clock, Auburn can run it down to just 9 seconds on the game clock. And unless TCU can force a turnover here and then a couple Fogo scores, then we might see this one come to a close here from UT. Milliman winds up, and the open net ends up in the 4th goal of the game for Luke Milliman, and the dagger has been placed as Auburn leads it again by 4. Talk about the fight from this TCU squad all the way up until the final minute, but with that one, this may be put on ice.
Yeah, Luke Milliman having a great game, 3-goal game, getting himself 4-goal game, excuse me. I must have misplaced one. But his goals have all come in at the most proper time. I feel like every time TCU tried to get something going, it was either him or Bush that really just started putting in those goals, peppering in those shots to really halt any momentum that TCU got. And now winning this faceoff here, they're just going to kill time.
Yeah, that timeout called here by the Auburn Tigers, led by second-year head coach J.J. Arminio, as they're going to improve to 5-0 on the young season. Went 6-6 all of last year, and they're 1 win away from matching last year's win total, which is an impressive feat for a younger program inside the SELC. They'll move on, taking on Vanderbilt in conference play, coming up Friday at 7 o'clock, that one in Nashville. Then they'll turn around that next day and play Missouri, also at Vanderbilt. So they go from Texas to Tennessee, and then they'll play 2 straight at Auburn against Texas A&M, fellow Lone Star Alliance club with TCU, and then Tennessee, Ole Miss after that. Then if you're TCU, they take the road, or should I say the skies, to go to Los Angeles for a trio of games. They'll play USC in LA. That one on Friday. Face off at 7 o'clock. Then they'll play Dominican University of California. A game also in LA. That one at 1 o'clock on Saturday. On Sunday, a noon start time, as they'll take on the Concordia Eagles in Irvine, California, just outside of LA. And then they'll return home for a duo of games on the weekend of March 2nd. They'll play OU and then the University of North Texas in the Mean Green on that Sunday. So both teams with definitely a lot to improve on. You got to look at the play, if you're Auburn, of Mike Bush. 9 goals for Mike Bush. Had 8 coming into the game on the 2019 season. If you're TCU, you got to be happy with the play of your goalkeepers. I think really Ryan Lawton had a great game in that first half. And then even despite giving up some goals in the second half, James Vills made some saves. But that is going to do it here from the University of Texas as the Auburn Tigers improve to 5-0 on the season. TCU will fall to 1-2. The final score here from Austin, 17-13, as Auburn takes the win over the Horned Frogs.
And they got off to a great start. They started off 2-0. They had the lead at the end of the first quarter, but once they lost it, once they allowed Auburn to just do what they wanted to do, there was no coming back. No matter how much they fought, they put up a great fight. They kept coming back near the stretch, coming up with some great plays. Just a great game here by Evan Jones specifically. He had a fantastic game, but it just wasn't enough for this high-powered Auburn offense. Undefeated on the year, this is a team to be reckoned with.
Plenty to build on, and those reps are going to come next week with 3 games all in California as TCU will hit the road and go out west for that trio of games.
That might be a bit of a home game since most of these players are
That's
from
true.
California.
You're very right about that. A lot of the roster built up of California natives for this TCU squad. So, like you said, maybe a homecoming for quite a few of those individuals. Do want to thank you for joining us, whether you watched on Facebook Live or YouTube or Vimeo, streaming live in the first half on all 3 of those, or throughout the game on all 3 of those different media outlets. Glad you've been able to join us here from the University of Texas. Do want to thank everybody that is involved with the Game On Sports Productions, for Fred Garner, for John Knoll, and for Saji Adam. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Once again, the final score here from Caven Clark Field, Auburn 17, TCU 13. Thanks for watching, and so long from Austin, Texas.